from the team that brought you Lean, Olivier, Walton, and Aida. Now comes Kiri Tekanawa.
In a moment, we join Sue Carpenter at ITN for the latest weekend news.
Have the critics written them off too soon? Can Wales find their classic form? Who'll have the last say? You will, this October, only on ITV.
Anytime you choose, take off your shoes, rest you with the eyes, or catch up with me. Our favorite book, our perfect company, relax. Forget about the blues, you're doing fine. Leave your cares and worries aside. Loosen up your tie, watch the world speed by. Relax.
Call free for details of a 30% reduction on your first visit. The Edwardian International, your address in London.
Lady, where art thou?
Bet they drink Carling Black Label. I'll just go and ask.
St. Ivel's shape, soft cheese, sensationally smooth and exceptionally low in fat.
I want to grow up in a place where people don't mug other people. I want to grow up where kids don't sniff glue. I want to grow up in the street where my gran can open the front door without being frightened. No one breaks in our house and steals our things. I want to grow up in a place where people don't spray graffiti over our walls, and my dad can leave his car without the radio getting nicked.
You can make the world a better place to grow up in with the help of this free handbook. It's packed with ways to protect our families, our homes, our possessions. To get your copy, phone 081 569 7000. And be ready to get cracking in Crime Prevention Week.
The first petrol to gain the AA seal of approval for its performance has also won the approval of millions of motorists for its quality gifts. Esso, a special kind of animal.
For those of you who find it a bit of a strain getting through the Sunday papers and who long for a quality Sunday newspaper in a sharp, concise and digestible form, might we make a suggestion? Cut through the paperwork this weekend with the Sunday Telegraph.
On Aspel and Company tonight, I'll be playing host to travelling thespian Michael Palin, rocking and rolling with Wendy James and Transvision Vamp, and simply enjoying the company of Maureen Lipman.
Hello and welcome to another blind date.
You have a good grip on this affair, Hastings.
Whether it's drama, entertainment, the arts, or serious factual programs, LWT makes the weekend.
The news from ITN. Major promises a citizens' charter for better public services. Iraqi government forces retake town from rebels. Peaceful demonstrations to celebrate the end of the poll tax. And seventh heaven for Liverpool as they go back to the top. Good evening. Mr. Major has outlined his vision for the 90s, pledging a citizens' charter for healthcare, education and other public services. He told a party meeting in Southport that the Conservative revolution would continue. There's conflicting evidence on the government's fortunes in the latest opinion polls. Maury, for the Sunday Express, put Labour 6 points ahead of the Conservatives. An NOP poll carried out in marginal Tory constituencies for the Mail on Sunday has the Conservatives 1 point ahead. Mr. Major's charter is intended to ensure high-quality local services and provide compensation for bad public services, with an ombudsman enforcing standards.
It wasn't an "I'll tell you the date of the next election" speech. It was an "I'll tell you what I'll fight it on" occasion. And the next Tory manifesto will have plenty of more of the same about it.
I do want to see more privatisation. The sale of the rest of British Telecom and the new plans for British Rail and British Coal, there is no reason why they should not be in the private sector, and into it they will go.
The health and education reforms will continue, and on education, the Prime Minister showed more than a touch of Thatcherism as he talked of a suspicion he shared with millions of parents.
It is that there has been too much experimentation, too much theory, too little attention to the basics. Theories come and theories go, but children have just one opportunity to be taught, and that must not be lost.
But above all, there'd be new commitments on the delivery of public services through the new Citizens' Charter, designed to take the Conservative revolution into the dustiest and darkest corners of the public service.
What we now aim to do is to put in place a comprehensive Citizens' Charter. People who depend on public services, patients, passengers, parents, pupils, benefit claimants, all must know where they stand and what service they have a right to expect.
Various means of enforcing the Charter could be used: auditing, applications to an ombudsman, and other ideas.
Our programme will mean that for the first time, all those people who depend on public service will have strong support from within the public sector itself in enforcing quality control.
All of which got Mr. Major a warm reception in the hall. His decision to let his audience forget about the poll tax for a day and turn to what he'd called the agenda for the decade had gone down well. Michael Brunson, ITN, Southport.
Iraq's President Saddam Hussein has appointed a new government as fighting continues in several areas of the country. The Iraqi army is claiming victory against rebels in the southern town of Najaf, but other battles continue to rage. Sarah Cullen at ITN has been looking at the latest pictures from Iraq.
The pictures taken today and received in London this afternoon appear to show that President Saddam Hussein's troops have regained control of the holy city of Najaf in the mainly Shiite south of Iraq. The pictures indicate widespread damage and a number of dead. Iraqi dissidents in London said thousands were massacred in a government attack. An army officer said the Shiite rebels had held the town for 12 days. Government troops herded blindfolded men, presumably Shiites, away. Iran has protested at what it calls the barbaric suppression of the rebellion and at the alleged kidnapping of a leading Ayatollah who was forced to speak in support of the government. Today's pictures appeared to show him back at home in Najaf, speaking through an interpreter.
I have answered this question that we reject any riot activities and any unusual activities against civilian people.
Today's cabinet reshuffle could be an attempt to reassure the southern Shiites. Sadoun Hamadi, Iraq's new prime minister, is a Shiite Muslim with a reputation as a reformer, although he's survived several purges and has been with Saddam since the 1950s. New deputy prime minister Tariq Aziz is another survivor from the early days. Saddam's son-in-law, hardliner Ali Hassin al-Majid, stays as interior minister. It's not clear whether there's been any real shift in the Iraqi power structure or merely a reshuffling of political allies.
Scientists in Kuwait say poisonous hydrogen sulfide is pouring into the atmosphere from 35 oil wells damaged by the Iraqis. They say the only way to get rid of the gas is to set the wells on fire. There are already 600 burning oil wells in Kuwait. ITN's Desmond Hamill reports.
Where the oil fires burn in the desert around Kuwait City, the surface also glistens as lakes of oil spread ever wider. This is yet another result of the Iraqi sabotage of the oil fields, because while hundreds of oil heads were set alight by explosions, a number failed to ignite. They're known as gushers. There's some 35 of them, and they give off hydrogen sulfide. It's a dangerous gas. Over 700 parts in a million can produce unconsciousness and then stop the breathing process. So the experts are getting ready, preparing their curious-looking equipment which will shelter them and get them close enough to the oil wellheads so they can deal with them. No one yet knows the long-term effects of all this very obvious pollution. For instance, whether the fallout will get into the food cycle through grass or more directly through animals. The most immediate danger would seem to come from the gas, the hydrogen sulfide. While it's not apparently reached a level where it will cause deaths, those working in the area say the smell is awful of rotten eggs and complain of itchy eyes, headaches, giddiness, and more.
It's awful. You hack up black smoke and black phlegm out of your throat every day, coughing and hacking.
Ironically, the one way to solve the immediate problem would be to burn off the gas by setting light to the oil. Desmond Hamill, ITN, Kuwait.
Here, thousands of people marched through central London this afternoon to celebrate the end of the poll tax. Organisers called it a victory parade. 5,000 police were on duty, but there was no repetition of the violence that erupted at last year's anti-poll tax march.
It was planned as a protest, but with the poll tax replaced, it became for most a celebration. Almost 5,000 police were on duty at a cost of £700,000. The Metropolitan Police determined there would be no repeat of last year's mayhem when more than 400 were arrested and thousands of pounds of damage caused. Today, the marchers, the majority good-humoured, were contained behind police lines, stretching for hundreds of yards, snaking through the centre of London. The front of the march passed this point near Piccadilly Circus 15 minutes ago, and it'll be another 20 minutes before the last of the estimated 10,000 marchers pass here en route to Hyde Park Corner. There were some isolated scuffles. In one, a policewoman was slightly injured. But most simply wanted to make their point noisily but peacefully.
A very successful day, due mainly to the efforts of the All Britain Anti-Poll Tax Federation stewards, who worked extremely hard, supported by a very effective police operation. And when put in the context of the amount of damage that was done last year, I think a very cost-effective one.
Scotland Yard said later none of the marchers was arrested. With such numbers and such a contentious issue, an outcome which brought some surprise and considerable relief to police and organisers alike. James Forlong, ITN, Central London.
The Ulster Unionists say they'll reply to the Brooke Initiative for talks on the future of Northern Ireland within the next few days. The Dublin government has already agreed to the terms set down by the Northern Ireland Secretary, but the Unionists are uneasy that Dublin would be allowed to join talks at too early a stage. The Princess Royal, back home today from Japan, is refusing to comment on the allegation that her estranged husband, Captain Mark Phillips, is the father of a 5-year-old girl in New Zealand. The Princess is now at Gatcombe Park. Earlier, Captain Phillips collected their children, Peter and Zara, from boarding school.
The Princess has braved the cameras before at times of trouble, but today the strain appeared to be showing. Arriving at Heathrow Airport after a trip to Tokyo, she headed straight for the family home in Gloucestershire and a reunion with her 2 children. Earlier, Peter and Zara had been collected by their father from their private school in Dorset. It was his first meeting with the children since Heather Tonkin, a New Zealand schoolteacher, made her allegations to the Daily Express. Miss Tonkin, seen in this amateur video, which she passed on to the paper, claims Captain Phillips and she had a brief affair 6 years ago, which resulted in the birth of her daughter Felicity. Miss Tonkin has now launched a paternity suit in the New Zealand courts. Her lawyers say it could mean Captain Phillips having to take a blood test. Captain Phillips, who separated from the Princess Royal 18 months ago, says he'll fight the case. Tonight, a Buckingham Palace spokesman said the princess was with her children at Gatcombe Park, but wouldn't confirm whether their father was also there.
Sport now, and with news of this afternoon's rugby and a convincing win by Liverpool, here's Giles Smith.
Yes, Liverpool swept back to the top of the First Division emphatically today, beating Derby County 7-1. They're now a point ahead of Arsenal, who were held to a goalless draw at Norwich. It took Liverpool just 7 minutes to open their account. Rush pulled down by Wright and Molby converting the penalty. Briefly, Derby threatened to make a fight of it. McMinn fouled by Hooper and Saunders doing the business from the spot. But the champions were soon ahead again. Rush and Barnes only getting a Shilton half-save, Barnes finishing it off. And number 3 came from a Beardsley cross, put away by Rush in deadly fashion. There was no let-up in the second half. Beardsley this time setting it up for Barnes' second. By now, bottom club Derby were reeling, Barnes confusing them and Nicol getting the luck of a deflection for number 5. But there was no luck needed with number 6, Barnes striding through for Nicol's second. And in a grim warning to Arsenal that the Reds are right back in form, the rout was completed by Houghton. At Norwich, a lethargic Arsenal's best chance came from a corner, but O'Leary's shot was scrambled away. And Norwich might even have won it. A number of good attacks coming up against the barrier of Seaman's 19th clean sheet of the season. At White Hart Lane, the Spurs fans were still flocking in despite the apparent collapse of manager Terry Venables' takeover bid. Some of the players looked resigned to losing their manager and probably Gazza as well, but the captain was remaining stoical.
Our job at the moment is to play football, and we've got QPR this afternoon, so to be honest, we're lucky we can go out on the training field during the week and play football, and that's our job. We can do that as normal, so as we look forward to doing. Thank you.
But they could only manage a goalless draw, and although Venables said later he'd be making another offer next week, the future looks very uncertain. In Scotland, Hans Gilhouse got the winner as Aberdeen went to within 3 points of Rangers at the top of the league. In Rugby League, Wigan won their way to the Challenge Cup final yet again, beating Oldham 30 points to 16 in today's first semi-final at Bolton. They've won the Wembley showpiece for the last 3 years.
Ellery Hanley, back from his American football jaunt, was leading Wigan into the Rugby League record books. Nothing was going to stop them reaching their 4th successive final, least of all an Oldham side overrun from the start. Wigan's first try from Edwards led the way. Oldham threatened briefly to break Wigan's formidable defence, but they hadn't enough of the ball to make a real impact. Their best chance of the half ending with Henderson giving it away. Hanley himself then showed Oldham how to make the breaks count. After fighting off gridiron giants with the London Monarchs, touchdowns in Rugby League aren't that difficult. Oldham proceeded to make Wigan's job even easier. The ball slipped away and Goodway had time to jog over the line. The second half was just as one-sided. Oldham again conspiring to make matters worse as Botica intercepted and ran in unhindered. Oldham ran in late tries to make the final score a little less embarrassing, but their problem now is avoiding relegation, while Wigan are marching on to Wembley. Peter Staunton, ITN Sport, Burndon Park.
In horse racing, history today as Amenable won the first big flat race of the season, the Lincoln, ridden by a woman. The 22-to-1 shot on the left was ridden by Alex Greaves, the first woman jockey ever to win the race. They surged to the front in the final furlong to win the £50,000 prize. Running on unfamiliar ground, his previous 5 victories on the trot were all on all-weather tracks. It was a tribute to that winter fitness and Alex's persistence. Next week, expect further developments in the Spurs saga, also the second Rugby League semi-final, the boat race, and an Easter soccer programme that could go a long way towards settling the championship.
And that's the news so far tonight. ITN has bulletins throughout the night, but I'm back at 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. From all of us here, good evening.
Is the
government abandoning Thatcherism, I'll be interviewing Norman Lamont, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, on Sunday at 1:10 on ITV.
Good evening. A chilly north wind and a scattering of showers spoiled what could have been a half-decent day today in many places, but there was some sunshine around, and where the sunshine, it was pleasant enough. You can see many western parts of Britain had the lion's share of the sunshine today. Much of this cloud will disappear overnight, leaving a cold and clear night, but the thicker cloud up behind me there, that's going to spoil the day for the far north and west. Scotland and Northern Ireland, a rather cloudy day to look forward to tomorrow. But let's come back to tonight in more detail. Most of the showers will die out eventually during the evening, and then a dry but very chilly night. A widespread frost, certainly a widespread ground frost, and a touch of air frost around too, so a chilly night. But a fine day to look forward to for most of us tomorrow. One or two mist and fog patches around, but they won't last long. A lot of sunshine during the morning, but fair weather cloud bubbling up as we go through the day, I think, in most places. And that thicker cloud that we saw on the satellite picture edging up into the northwest there, and a little bit of light rain and drizzle for northwestern Scotland and perhaps even Northern Ireland later in the day, but I think most places staying dry and fairly bright. The temperatures tomorrow then, after that very chilly start, struggling back to normal just about, around 9 or 10 for most of us. One or two places in the southwest, perhaps a touch warmer, and up in the northwest, where you've got that thickening cloud, 8 is about as high as you'll see. That's 46 degrees Fahrenheit, but the wind's lighter everywhere tomorrow, so it should feel reasonably warm. Here's the national summary.
Next this evening, after the LWT weather forecast, we join Aspel and Company.
Imagine you were able to pay yourself a visit in the years to come. It might make you wish you'd had the foresight to invest in a pension from Royal Life. You see, it's part of Royal Insurance, which manages £14 billion of funds around the world, and a Royal Life policy can help you give yourself the retirement you've always wanted.
Who is it, darling?
It's only me.
Look after yourself properly with Royal Insurance.
And all because the lady loves Cadbury's milk tray.
Eurythmics' greatest hits. Out now.
You know, someone said it's a funny old world.
Very snarry, mister.
When things get bad. Just say,
What?
I feel better. DHL. Ain't no mountain high enough. Ain't no valley deep enough.
What's that, George? For parcels and documents worldwide, call DHL. Caramba!
The world is their oyster. Europe is their wealth.
Free with the Sunday Mirror, the big glossy colour magazine, and the fabulous free beauty book, plus John Barnes warns England. Buy the big value Sunday Mirror this Sunday.
In the face of fearsome competition, information technology can be a very powerful weapon. Anderson Consulting can help you find the best way to unleash it.
You walked into the party like you were walking onto a yacht. Your hat strategically dipped below one eye. Your scarf, it was apricot. You had
Hello again. Well, it didn't feel much like spring here in the southeast today, did it? Temperatures stuck at 6 in parts of Kent and no higher than about 8 or 9 in London. A cold night ahead too, a widespread ground frost, even a touch of air frost in 1 or 2 places. But by tomorrow, things are on the up. It should be a dry day tomorrow for most of us anyway, and a fair bit of brightness around too. Quite a bit of sunshine, I think. Let's look at tomorrow's picture in more detail then. There could be just the odd troublesome shower near the east coast, but most of the region will be dry, a fair bit of sunshine around, I think. Most of us a fine, bright day. The wind's lighter than they've been today too, a north or northeasterly there. The temperatures tomorrow then, a cold start to the day, as I've said already. If you're making an early start, you'll find temperatures only just above freezing in many places, but by the afternoon they're creeping back to normal, up to around 10, perhaps 11, and that would be just 50 or 52 degrees Fahrenheit. With lighter winds, not feeling too bad. Make the most of the sunshine. Here's a summary.
Tuesday at 9 on ITV, Victoria Principal and James Farentino star in a tale of morals and murder.
How many times was she hit?
Just once.
All rise for the Honorable Judge Morris.
The judge on our trial, a couple years ago when Vice busted a call girl ring, seems his name might have come up.
John, why didn't you tell me you were at the hotel the night of the murder?
Burn him, Joe. Just burn him.
A movie premiere, Naked Lie, Tuesday at 9.
This is London Weekend Television, where now we enjoy the lively conversation of Aspel and Company.
Fancy a grape, Zeus?
Don't mind if I do.
Le Piador.
Or causing a 4-mile tailback. He's going to get going over the next one.
Breakfast stop! It's Danish!
From Gillette comes Sensor, the razor that can sense and adjust to the individual needs of your face. Sensor blades are mounted on responsive springs to continuously sense and individually adjust to your face. Closer, safer, more comfortable. Gillette Sensor, together with the richness of Gillette Gel, for a shave that is unsurpassed.
Raffaello is crisp and creamy with a crunchy almond center, yet it's incredibly light. Raffaello, the taste of summer all year round.
For those who like their tea to taste like tea, finding the word decaffeinated might be somewhat disconcerting. But when you gently decaffeinate your tea within hours of picking it, then getting a modern cup of tea to taste like a proper one...
Look, silly. Lions.
Well, it isn't hard to swallow at all. Lions decaffeinated tea. Keep the flavor, keep the taste.
You're watching a BMW equipped with optional computerized suspension. Unfortunately, the car you're watching it from isn't.
She is a woman. She is a worker.
Daniel.
She is a mother. She is a lover. She is the magazine for women who juggle their lives. Buy your April issue out now.
A major South Bank show special, Kirite Kanoa, Good Friday on ITV.
Welcome back.